What's going on, guys? Picsoleated here, back at it again with another video. We back here with the truth segment. In the truth segment, we take two sneakers and pit them against each other in three distinct categories to see which one comes out on top. Today we're looking at two shoes from the same brand, but not only are they from the same brand, they were designed in collaboration with the same designer. This designer happens to produce some of my favorite collab pieces with the Adidas brand. Sorry KANYE, but it is Alexander Wang. Alexander Wang has released several collaboration collections with Adidas, all of which released with new unique shoe models. One of those models being the Alexander Wang Run right here with this unique lacing lockdown. This white and cream colorway released alongside a gray colorway as well as an entire clothing collection. And the other being my favorite Boost shoe of 2017. It is the Alexander Wang BBALL in the white and cream colorway. I've been raving about this shoe ever since its release, so I might be a bit biased in a certain category, but I'm going to try. Scratch that. I'm going to be successfully unbiased in this review just for you guys. The three categories we're going to be comparing these sneakers in are comfort, fit, and style. We're starting off with the comfort category, where we look at the midsole specifically and how it contributes and adds or doesn't add to the comfort of the shoe. The Alexander Wang Run Clean has this full-length Boost midsole that goes from heel to toe. We all know about Boost technology at this point, Adidas' new foray into comfort tech that's seemingly been taking over the world lately. The Boost midsole here is comfy and does the job. You don't feel it the same way you do in an Ultra Boost, and we'll get into why that is in a later category, but it definitely keeps the walk or run comfortable. However, it's also not as minimal as the NMD Boost, which you feel much less of. This is a healthy medium between what you feel in an Ultra Boost versus what you feel in an NMD. When it comes to the Boost's feedback, like if the Ultra Boost is a 10 in how much you feel the boost and the NMD is a 5, this is around a 7 to 7.5. So although this does look like a hefty chunk of boost, more than you'd see on an Ultra Boost, that doesn't mean you'll feel it the same way. There's also a little bit of an arch at the midfoot that provides support. It's more, you can see it more on the inside, something you don't see in most Boost shoes. That definitely aids in the comfort of the shoe. You can feel it more than you can see it. It's around here on the inside where arch support typically is. This definitely aids in the comfort of the shoe, particularly because I do have a wide foot and it tends to spill outwards on this shoe. The support helps provide feedback in that area. The gum outsole is very well treaded and grips the floor really well also, which is another thing you won't find on other Boost shoes, because for some reason Adidas likes to make most of them either flat or close to it, such as the NMD or Ultra Boost. I don't know why they do that. I guess they think it negates the effect of the boost to some degree, and maybe it does, but I think what Alexander Wang has done with the shoes is a clear indication that you can have boost in a shoe with a thick treaded midsole and still perform well. This outsole does provide a fair bit of traction on rugged terrain too, so that's a definite plus. I will say this though, while the Boost midsole is a full-length midsole, the Alexander Wang BBALL does a great job of either matching or even possibly beating it. Now looking at the Alexander Wang BBALL midsole, there are two most noticeable things that stand out to me. The first is that this is far chunkier than the Alexander Wang Run midsole, quite evidently, and two, it is not a full Boost midsole like the Alexander Wang Run. It actually stops a little past halfway and abruptly transitions to a regular hard rubber midsole. So yes, the midsole is a lot chunkier. But you might be wondering, does that actually translate to more cushioning and comfort when it comes to Boost? Well, I'll answer that very simply. It is a surprising yes. Now, you might be wondering, why is it so surprising? Well, for one, only like 5/8 of the shoe is Boost, and sorry for getting so technical in math, but logically one would think, less Boost? Less comfort. Well, this is not the case here. The forefoot of the midsole is made of this very thick rubber-like material, could be EVA cushioning, but what makes this so different from other midsoles that are similar in thickness is that it actually allows for a lot of flex. And I mean a lot. Like, I've never felt the issue of thickness with this midsole, which almost never happens with thick midsoles. Thick midsoles are almost guaranteed to be less comfortable no matter what. You will almost always feel the stiffness of a thick midsole at least a handful of times during wear. With these, I've never felt that. Ever. It might just be because half the midsole is Boost, so when you bend your foot, it actually bends right at where the Boost and the EVA part of the midsole meet. You might be thinking the outsole and the chunky upper might make this shoe too stiff and encapsulate the Boost to the point where it becomes ineffective, and honestly, I thought that's how it was going to be at first too. I've tried the Tubular Instinct with Boost in it, and even the Yeezy 750 and the thick midsoles in those shoes definitely have a negative impact on how well the Boost works. With these, however, it's a non-issue. As soon as I step foot in them, I feel my heels sinking into the Boost cushioning, and I don't mean sinking intensely, rendering the cushioning useless. I just mean that fair, satisfied sink you feel in like anything, something like in an Ultra Boost or the EQT Boost, but just a little more. For God's sake, look at how thick this padding of Boost is. It'd be blasphemous if it didn't sink a little. The outsole is treaded decently as b-ball shoes should be, although I wouldn't recommend actually playing ball in these. The treading doesn't work as well as it does on the Alexander Wang Run, not that you should use either for any sort of intense physical activity. I personally consider both of these a casual shoe. Now this is a chunkier shoe than the Alexander Wang Run, but that works in its favor because overall I feel the Boost and the midsole in general better encapsulate my foot when I'm walking in them. With that being said, both of these are really good contenders when it comes to comfort, but the Alexander Wang B-Ball's overall thicker and wider midsole encapsulates and provides more support for your foot, and therefore the Alexander Wang B-Ball wins in the comfort category. On to the second category. It is the fit category, where we take a closer look at the upper and how it contributes to the comfortability, wearability, and overall wearing experience of the shoe. This is where we see the largest difference between these two, because both of these styles are vastly different from each other. One's crafted or at least inspired from runners, if we're to believe its name, at least some form of runner that no one really uses to run in. The other is inspired by a classic basketball shoe. I often compare it to a Jordan 4 as its Jordan Nike counterpart. The upper of the Alexander Wang B-Ball is made of a plethora of materials. You'll see hits of suede, nubuck, thicker and thin variations. You'll see soft leather and even some terry cloth. I probably couldn't accurately name all of the materials on here if I wanted to, but you've got some right there. The point here is that the upper of this sneaker is very well coated with multiple layers strung together, and many of these materials are materials you'll find on older and more classic shoes. In other words, the focus here is on high quality, thick cut materials as opposed to something like breathability, which is something you see a lot in newer sneakers. The issue with traditional materials like these, although granted some of these still aren't very traditional when it comes to sneakers like the terry cloth here, is that they're usually thick and don't form to your foot the way a softer upper does. Don't get me wrong, oftentimes I prefer uppers like these because it protects your foot from unwanted or unexpected impact. If you bang your foot against a desk or something, or if it gets run over by a bike, if you've experienced any of these, you know what I'm talking about. And I personally prefer the security of a somewhat bulky upper so long as it's not diminishing comfort or breathability entirely. With that being said, however, this is an unbiased review and I have quite a bit to say about these versus the Alexander Wang Run upper. The Alexander Wang Run upper still houses a bunch of materials that layer on the initial material, which makes up majority of the upper. With that being said though, it's still a very scarce amount of materials on the upper, and the upper is primarily this pure clean white prime knit / mesh combination. I'm not entirely sure whether it's one or the other or both, but I'm going to venture out and say it's prime knit. It's very soft to the touch and super light, and that's one thing to note as well, because this upper is not made of the bulky traditional materials that the B-Ball is made of. It's actually a lot lighter, so if that's something you value in a sneaker, and I'm sure quite a few of you do, as I do from time to time, the Alexander Wang Run achieves this accolade in droves. A little bit of material, which is this nylon rope lace intertwined to create the illusion of a lace cage, although I guess it's not really an illusion, this is actually a lace cage. I don't know why I said that. This one piece of thick suede housing the lacing system, the styrofoam tongue below it, and this thin patch of suede housing the lace toggle at the back. All of these materials factor in almost nothing to the weight of this shoe. Give your legs some credit, guys. If they couldn't hold these up without feeling them, you might need to pack like the slightest bit of muscle on them bad boys. What I find so odd about these shoes and why I love the upper of the Alexander Wang Run so much is that I feel almost the same amount of support when doing low intensity activities like walking or even at a brisk pace in both shoes, meaning that not only is the upper of the Alexander Wang Run supremely less bulky than this, it actually maintains a similar amount of support with far less material and manages to be far more breathable at the same time. The one caveat though is that you don't feel the boost as much and the ankle support is sorely lacking, which is what actually causes you to feel the boost less. A little counterintuitive if you ask me, but we're comparing uppers here, and to be honest, if this thing had ankle support or heel support, or just something here that supported your heel and allowed you to feel the boost a little bit more, this would be one of my favorite shoes of all time. But with that being said, in my eyes, the Alexander Wang Run still takes the cake for being more breathable, more comfortable, and just overall more flexible with your foot. You get almost the same amount of support as you do in the Alexander Wang B-Ball, and for this reason, the Alexander Wang Run wins the comfort category. On to the final category of the three, the tiebreaker. It is the style category. Quick disclaimer, as always, style is subjective, so make sure you know what you like better. It doesn't necessarily matter what I think about the sneaker if you already know what you like. I'm here merely to express my opinion, and if you're undecided, use it to guide your decision. That wasn't as quick a disclaimer as I was hoping for it to be. Anyways, on with it. The Alexander Wang Run is a shoe that was a hit or miss for many people. These definitely didn't sell out immediately as soon as they released. They took a few hours at the least to sell out, which wasn't typical for most limited boost shoes at the time, and by at the time I mean a few months ago when these came out. Not that how it's sold should matter when it comes to looks, but it does give a little insight into what people find visually appealing and what they don't. The Alexander Wang B-balls sold out almost immediately everywhere when they released, although some places did still have a few sizes left of the black pair. When it comes to the style of the Alexander Wang run, it is more in tune with today's modern style runner aesthetic, albeit with a few oddities. For one, the lacing system is very unique looking and doesn't fit the streamlined aesthetic of the shoe. It has this toggle in the back with a wrinkly patch that oddly stands out. The lace cage has this weird duck bill at the end, and to top it off, the shoe has this ankle opening that is pretty much the top end cut off of a cream colored sock and sewn onto these. What I'm trying to say is, this isn't everyone's cup of tea, but then again, it isn't meant to be, and neither are the Alexander Wang B-balls. This is a very standout shoe, something Alexander Wang managed to accomplish in a very simple way, and that's something to be applauded in my opinion. The Alexander Wang B-balls, on the other hand, are almost the polar opposite of the shoe. They are chunky, bulky, and rather than having minimal materials, they are formed with a ton of them to create this classic B-ball shoe-like upper. Personally, I've been leaning toward the runner aesthetic for a while now, but even then the B-ball gets my point, and I'll tell you why. This multitude of materials still manages to mesh well into a very cohesive upper that doesn't feel overdone. The one thing I don't like about this upper is this elastic waistband opening material, because it really doesn't do much to hold your foot into place, and is the reason why I wouldn't recommend actually playing ball in this shoe. But with that being said, I can definitely style the B-ball way better than the Alexander Wang run, and for this reason, the Alexander Wang B-balls take the style category. That's it for my video, guys. The B-balls have won this round against the Alexander Wang runs. I personally think the B-balls are the right choice between these two pairs, although clearly I like both of these since I own both of them. I'm curious to know what you guys think about these shoes, and please subscribe for more juicy content. Catch you later. Picsoleated. Out.